Hello, 10th grade English students. This video that I'm making now is going to cover your reading boot camp. Remember, a final reminder here. When you first log into whichever English classroom section you're assigned to, the first thing you're going to log into will be Stream, which is only where I post your announcements. So you need to go to classwork. I would also like to say something at this point. I think I've got a couple of you, and I'm going to check those Google Classrooms sometime tomorrow. But I think I have a couple of you that are in the wrong Google Classroom. So please double check your schedule that you were given from the school and make sure that you are in the period number. Even though I'm using English 7th period right now, this applies to all of the English classes across the board. So, but where you post your work makes a big difference because that's where your grade goes. So, I'm not going to be transferring grades, so you need to make sure that you are in the exact correct English class. Okay, so after you log in to your English Google Classroom, you'll want to click on Classwork. And if you will notice, as I've already said, you will see the topics listed on the left. And I want you to scroll down this time to Reading Boot Camp for this week. We are doing a complete, intense reading boot camp. Now, I have posted in this reading boot camp a quiz for each reading piece. Your quizzes are not open yet, and you do not need to take those until I give you an announcement heads up that it's time for you to take your quiz. If you're in class, you will take it in class with me. If you're taking it from home, you will not be able to access it until I unlock it, okay? So, Reading Boot Camp. Okay, this is also where I have posted your Reading Boot Camp vocab document. I want you to have a hard copy of this reading vocab list in your binder, and then you also will want to put it in your graphic organizer. And this is what your graphic organizer looks like. Okay. Now, this week I have only given you 10 vocab words. You will need to go back to the lesson plan slide. I made that video and I explained to you in the lesson plan video where your vocabulary words are listed. They're on one of your slides in the lesson plan. Those are the 10 words that you are going to be responsible for knowing. If you will notice, each one of the short stories that we're going to read has many vocabulary words within the story. The vocab words that we're focusing on has been taken from each of the stories, but it is a very condensed list for this first upcoming quiz. You will not be tested over all of the words in the vocab. For example, I think in the story Cooking Time, there are 20 words. So if there are 20 words in each of the stories, you're up to 80 words for your first vocab quiz. So I am not doing that. So I have selected 10 of the words according to the Common Literature strand. So you are going to be responsible only for those 10 vocab words in next week's quiz. Okay, so I'll close that one back up. To get to the reading pieces, now these are the quizzes, and as I said, the quizzes are not open at this time. However, you will have taken each one of these quizzes by next Saturday. But to open your reading documents, you will need to click on Lit Pieces for Reading Bootcamp. And when you click on this, you will notice a PDF for each one of the lit stories. You will be expected to read one story at a time, and you will open the graphic organizer, which is right under the stories. Now, this is how it appears on my screen, and my screen may be slightly different from the student screen. It seems like in class today, my students told me that the graphic organizer, the Google Docs for the graphic organizer, is located over here on the right side of the page and somewhere near Turnitin. So make sure that you look there, but I want you to open that graphic organizer. And this is what you will do. This whole reading boot camp has one essential question, because all of the short stories are focused around the theme of the essential question. The essential question is, what is the price of following the crowd? So I want you to read Cooking Time, and then I want you to type in your answer. The question is, what is the price of following the crowd? How did you see that question play out in the story Cooking Time? In other words, how did you see a character following the crowd have to pay a certain price? Did that character's idea and actions of following the crowd cost consequences for herself or for others in the story? So think about that. How does this text answer the question, what is the price of following the crowd? So after you type in your answer right here, then I want you to provide textual evidence. When you provide textual evidence, this is actual text from the short story, and I also want you to put the page number. After you type the information, the textual information, I want you to put the page number, and then I want you to put the line. What line is it? Because most of these short stories have numbered lines. So perhaps it was on page 1 in line 35. Okay? So not only do I want you to put the actual text that proves how this story affects the essential question, I also want you to put the page number and the line number or numbers. It may be lines 35 through 40. Okay, so however that plays out, post that information. So this is your graphic organizer. You will not submit this graphic organizer after you answer each story's question. You will submit this at the end of the week after you have read each one of these stories. Okay? So I want to go back to Cooking Time is the first story, and that will be your first quiz. I want you to get this story read by Tuesday evening. Okay, that is tomorrow evening. I want you to have this story read. Cooking Time. I'm going to read just a small portion of this to you. The minute the doorbell rang, I knew something was wrong. The sound set my nerves jangling as if it was plugged into my brain. My thoughts flew to the box in the basement, but before I could move, Mara had leaped up. "That will be Mandy," she said. "About time, too." She opened the door. 2 men stood in the street. They had Agro Global written all over them. Dark suits, short hair, clean shoes, mirrored shades. "We're looking for Miss Stella Jordan," the first one said. Mara looked back at me, worry in her dark eyes. "You need to come with us," he said. I got up. "Can I just now?" There was no use protesting. I grabbed my bag and headed out. There was a silver van standing outside. It looked so out of place in our street, like platinum dentures in a vagrant's ruined mouth. "Nice wheels," I said. Suit 1 gave me a small, tight smile as he opened the door, or held open the door. "Where are you taking me?" I asked as we pulled out. We drove past crumbling buildings and old iron staircases, bumping over potholes. "Nothing to worry about," he said. That wasn't an answer, but it didn't matter. I knew anyway. There was nowhere in Sector 87 to go except for Agro Global. Okay, so this is like a suspenseful mystery story. Something is going on. Something is weird. There's a weird vibe when you read this first page. Think in terms of what's going on. Who are those men in that silver van? Why did they seem to have such authority over this person? Why were they so vague in telling her information? Why did she so readily comply? She was almost acting as if they were the authority, and she was powerless under their authority. So I want you to finish reading out this story, and then I want you to go to your graphic organizer and answer the essential question of how does this story comply with the price that a person pays for following the crowd. And then don't forget to use your to find your textual evidence. So you see, these are the lines. This is line 1, and this is 5. This is 10. Okay. And so you can count in between. This is 15. Okay. So this is what you will do in your short stories this week. After you have read this story, I will then open the quiz. Now you're going to have set times and set dates. And I will post that in the stream section under the announcement for the virtual students. The rest of you, we will be doing this in class. You will have to read this story and take this quiz by a set given date. For the virtual students, I want you to have this story read by Tuesday evening so that you can take your first quiz on Wednesday. And then we will read another story and then a quiz, and then we will finish with the following 2 remaining stories and take those quizzes by Friday. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know.